Welcome to Holistic Health and Healing, a show offering solutions for the body, being, and beyond. In each episode, we discuss topics that empower you to take a holistic approach to step into your unique voice in this world. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. K and Hank Setala, the Sonic Shaman.
Good morning, everyone. It feels like forever ago that we've been streaming. Well, it's only been 2 weeks. And before we get into the topic, a huge congratulations to Dr. K, who took two prizes in her bodybuilding competition.
I did it.
She did it. I so wanted to go, but my wife just didn't find it fun to go out to a bodybuilding competition. But I was rooting you on in spirit. But she totally took first place in her category and second place in another category. A huge accomplishment. So congratulations. And she was also came up with our topic for today, which she said as alignment, and I kind of tweaked it to be congruent actualization.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, and really your whole success of the show is an example of that, when you are aligned and you're focused and you're consistent with your choices and your actions of how you can manifest and actualize what you desire in this world. Because there was how many people in that competition? A lot, right?
160.
160.
I mean,
and
not
she
in
came
my
out.
category, but I was up against, I think, 8 girls. So sometimes that varies. It could be 8. It could be typically no more than 15. But yeah, you really... we'll talk about congruency, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so alignment and congruency. And where do we want to, I have to make this public on my page. I always forget that. And we always love for these to be interactive. So if you have any questions, feel free to make a comment. The best place to comment is over on the YouTube channel. I do have a link in the description over to the YouTube channel. That's the best place to make sure we see it, because we don't see all the comments from all the Facebook locations. But where should we start our story of alignment and congruency story, our topic of alignment and congruency?
You can make it a story. The mic drop really on this is if you're trying to create something or you're putting out an intention, you have to stick with that intention and being aligned with that intention. So it's like this, and this will rotate around the whole conversation. If you are saying, let's see if I can give a good example, like, I am really, you want to be wealthy or you want to lose weight. You have to be congruent with those actions. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to wake up in the morning and every day you start your routine and I'm like, I am 115 pounds or whatever. And that this is where you're headed, where your direction is headed, because that's what you want to create. And then somewhere in the day after that, you get in your car 2 hours later and you go to work and you're like, my life sucks. I'm so freaking fat. And that's not being congruent. You've already derailed that alignment of where you're headed. So you basically can't let anything else get in your mind. There's no other thoughts, no other words, you're going to start creating a different reality if you're not sticking to that congruency of what you're trying to do. So you have to be congruent with your thoughts, actions, feelings, to bring about what you want to bring about. And it's tricky. Things will crawl into your head. So I do the sweeping thing and I just toss it over to the side, or I cut a cord and then I repeat a positive statement and I picture myself in that again. And I had to do that over and over and over. And I won't lie, there were moments where things crept in, but that's what laser focus is like. So congruency with what you want to create is so important. You can't say, I want to create X, Y, Z, and you focus on that. You're like, okay, I'm going to sit and visualize and hopefully do an action or so. But then somewhere in the middle of the day at lunch, you go think something different or badmouth somebody or judge somebody or create some different scenario that's not in alignment or AKA congruency of what you're trying to bring about. So I hope that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. And back in, I think it was 2008, there was a book by Neil Donald Walsh called Happier Than God. And he was talking about like this mechanism of manifestation. And I wrote a talk back then. I called it Congruent Manifestation. And then nowadays I would change that to be Congruent Actualization, which is, we have the topic, but I put it into 2 different categories. There is congruency horizontally, or sorry, vertically, which is like the thought, or it's not thought. I can't talk today. Body, being, and beyond, like the thought, mind, spirit thing, like being congruent with the totality of yourself. For example, you might want to create something out of ego, is that really what the soul's looking to create? So like there's one element of congruency that's going this way, and the other element of congruency is the alignment of your, like you were just talking about, the emotions, the thoughts, the feelings, like the actions themselves. So you're being congruent both ways. And when you are congruent both ways, you get a tremendous amount of support and contribution from the universe to manifest and actualize what you're looking to accomplish, just like your show.
Yeah, so you can't say you want one thing but you do another.
Yeah, I want to lose weight, but I'm going through the faster drive-through, right? Like actions.
Congruent action.
Yeah, and they say all the time, actions speak louder than words. You might have the thought or the desire for one thing, but everything you're doing is counterintuitive and counterindicated for what you're actually looking to manifest. Like if you had gone into your show, but you had not done the diet the way that you were instructed to do from your coach, you would have had like very likely a very different outcome.
Yep. Everything, every part and piece has to align there. It has to be no excuses, no other thoughts. The ego will try to bring it in. I'm not saying it's, that those thoughts won't try to get in there. They might, but you have to say nope. And I do this thing where I just sweep it from my heart chakra. I throw it away, or I cut a cord to it, and then I immediately start thinking about I am this, I am, and feel it in your body and do whatever other actions you can to create that feeling of joy and actualization.
Ooh, that's huge what you just said, because one of the things, I think this is even from like some sacred texts and things, is like the greatest prayer is in the energy that it's already so. So I'm sure you were like having your vision board and visualizing you in the winner's circle and getting the award and all that, because there's a frequency to that. And if you basically tell the universe, hey, I'll have that please, and you're consistent with it, the universe is going to bring you things that are going to help you stay on track in order to manifest that. But if you bring it up one time and then you're just out running and not really paying attention, that's the thing. Like the consistency is one of the 3 C's that I put in for today's talk. It's consciousness, like really what are you able to perceive, know, be, and receive about whatever it is you're looking to create. Consistency and congruency. And the consistency is that you keep plugging away towards the same target. Because how often do we change our mind and the universe was just getting things lined up, and then now we're focusing over here, and the universe says, cool, I can do that too, and it starts to manifest and actualize that, and then in the next 10 seconds we have a different thing that we're focused on. So consistency is so huge, along with the congruency, and then making sure that you're open to the awareness, because there might be something right in front of you that is going to be a contribution for you achieving your goal, your target, or whatnot, and you don't pay attention to it because in that moment you're not willing to perceive, know, be, and receive the gifts from the universe to help you actualize it with ease.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing to mention as an example, it's like a seed. You have to feed it you have to feed it, and you have to feed it that energy. So sometimes we would like for something to occur, and you kind of get the concept, and you're like, okay, we hear Hank and Dr. K talk about, then to do this, and just keep kind of thinking about it. And then, but you start doing all these extra things. If you really want to strongly manifest, you really have to feed it a lot of energy. You also have to be detached, because that's the other tricky piece, is we want to squeeze the sponge. We want to like be very willful to create something. And I kind of did that, and I'm good at creating that way. But it's kind of tiring when you try to really, really push it. You just kind of want to detach a little bit, but keep giving it the energy of what you want.
Right, because there's such a thing as overwatering a plant. Yes. For example. Yes. So you want to give it the care and the attention that is needed without forcing it, because when you try to force something, then you might drown the plant or whatnot. It's like just the balance, and we're always looking to actualize all kinds of different things in our lives, but if you can still speed that consistency with the right amount of energy, it's actualizing with ease. And then the other thing is be willing to receive contribution from other people or other things around you. Because like Dr. K didn't just do it on her own. She had a trainer. She asked me to help out with a few things. So like, what resources do you have around you that you could receive contribution from? But how often are we told as children, the only person you can count on is yourself? And then we like, or not, it's not okay to receive because that would obligate you to reciprocate. And a lot of people won't receive from the universe or from other people because of this idea that we have that it would put you and obligate you to do something back. True gifting, true contribution has no attachments to it. It's just pure, I'm doing this to be a contribution to someone, and I have no expectation, judgment, conclusion that they're going to do anything back for me. That's not what it's about when it's a true gift.
And know that, and sometimes I got into this tricky piece of this person may not, I'm going to give this to this person, but this person I know won't give it back to me. And then I don't know if I want to give it anyway, because it may not be that person that gives it back to you. Something may come at some point in your life where you get that back in a different way from somebody else that you don't even know. It's like kind of like a karmic thing. It comes around when you need it. So when you help somebody out, and this is off topic, but when you help somebody out, when you gift them something, you give them that little extra time of yours, which is a precious gift. Somebody else may gift you something somewhere down the line when you need it, So yeah, that's off topic.
Yeah. And taking a step back from that, moving from the kingdom of me to the kingdom of we, in the space of oneality, you are the only one in the room, and so am I. Source is all there is. And if you can really look at each opportunity to be a contribution to someone as you are contributing to another aspect of divinity, you are one and the same. The Aini, we call it in shamanism, the divine reciprocity, is complete because you are technically gifting to yourself on one level of awareness. And if you come from that space, it really is this like kingdom of we effect that can exponentially just create possibility all around. But if we have the idea that, well, if I do that for them, then I need to make it back somewhere, that's a duality thing. That's like where there's finiteness and there's scarcity and there's all these things. And, oh man, if I'm going to do something for somebody, I better make it up on the back end, but that's not what it's about either. It's the kingdom of we. Now, we do have Mark tuning in, our resident comedian. Well, first we have Mike saying, how does it get any better than this?
Hi, Mike.
How does it get any better than this? That's wonderful. Right? Now I know Mark is joking, but I love the lightness he brings. He says, for years I've been envisioning myself as a stripper in Vegas. I just moved out here and I'm stripping away. At least you got out of jail, Mark. That's the first step. At least now you can make some money. You can come to the next foundation class and all that good stuff. So I'm glad you're out. You're out
with the comebacks now, Mark. You're not going to be able to get away with it. He's got something for everything.
I control the comments, so I can bring it up after I come up with some clever retort. So I give myself the time to let it percolate. I become congruent with my response first.
You're getting good at it. So if you want to create something, okay, so it's like you want to create a result somewhere. You have to put the laser focus in it. You water it like a plant, so you feed those thoughts. You don't let other sneaky thoughts get in there that tell you otherwise. You take the actions towards that step, however little they are. It might be a tiny step. It might be a really big step if you're ready for that. But you move towards that in every way, shape, and form. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you just think, okay, I'm going to do, or I would desire X, Y, Z, and then you never think about it again, or you poo-poo it, or you say it's never going to happen, or, well, it's not working. Those things don't happen.
Yep. You need good, orderly direction. Yep. God. Yep. And I don't mean God in the sense from religion or anything. I mean source energy, life force energy, the force, all that type of thing. And I've given this example on the show before. It's kind of like a rowboat, and you put your intention and your focus out into the universe of what you would like to actualize and to manifest in your life, and the universe starts rowing. And if you don't take the oar and take your own good orderly direction and have alignment of thought, word, deed, actions, all these things, then you end up rowing in a circle because you only have one person rowing, or you're not going as fast as you could. But if you're doing your part, following the energy, that's another thing we ought to talk about. Like when you put these things out there that you're looking to create, you might start to notice things like Dr. K noted, I need a different trainer. I'm going to go and she worked with somebody online. Or like if you're with Melissa and me, when we did the expo, we had the idea, well, we wanted to create this and we followed the energy. Hey, this looks like a place we should call. We never thought about having it at a soccer sportsplex, but that was like, why not? Why couldn't we have it in a soccer field? It's not a traditional, expo center or whatnot. But if you start asking the questions, what energy, space, consciousness, and choice could my body, being, and beyond be to actualize this win, this goal, this target with total ease? And you get the sense of that energy, and then you're going to start noticing things that match that frequency. That's what we mean when we say following the energy. Things will just kind of spark to you, and you'll know, oh, okay, I'm gonna that's in alignment with what I'm looking to create. I'm going to follow that.
And being open and receptive is really important too, because say you desire, I have to work on the
Good
words.
catch.
When you desire $10,000, our brain, our ego perceives that as, okay, somebody's either going to pay me $10,000 straight up at work, or I'll get a raise, or it might appear on my doorstep in a
Yep.
bag.
We're taking
There's
a
so
step
many.
back from that. What are you looking to do with the $10,000? What are you looking to actualize? Because money is just one of infinite possibilities the universe can deliver to you. And what if the goal is to have a cabin in the woods, what if that could manifest and actualize without $10,000 showing up in your doorstep?
Right.
So even taking a step back from that, and there's going to be a class, Dr. K is going to be in it with me this time, like the How to Become Money workbook, which is like, that's not related to our stream. That's with Heather McMillan, and I stream with her sometimes in the mornings. But that's on the Emergence of Being website if people are interested. But it's all about like really going through and recognizing that money is just an energy, and it is one of many, many energies, and it's not necessarily the cash that we use as exchange in our society. And it helps to revamp and to take into it just changes the entire point of view around money, and then you can put in anything else that you're working on, substitute money for whatever else you might be looking to create in your life. Let's see, we have a couple comments. We got Anne Marie tuning in saying, "Good morning, Dr. K and Hank. Ready for some great information. Thank you so much for tuning in." And let's see. Mark was making a comment, a little bit more of a serious comment this time. "The other day, the universe informed me that anyone who gives to Mark valuable goods, that person will be paid back 1,000-fold, not by me directly." So that's Mark's way of saying, please contribute to him. But truly, what energy, space, consciousness, and choice could your body, being and beyond be to receive the infinite contribution available to you from people around you, from other beings around you with and without bodies that could be a contribution with total ease? Because we're not in this alone. And whether you believe in spirit guides or in spiritualism, we call it a spirit band. In shamanism, we call it a yanapek. In Access, we call it a teammates, because they like less significance around things. There are all these things around you that could contribute and help row that boat even faster. But the question is, what energy would it take? What could you be to receive that? Because the number one problem with actualizing is our inability or unwillingness to receive from other people or from the universe itself.
Or it doesn't come up the way we desire it and we miss it.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the difference between manifestation and actualization. Manifestation is how something shows up. And sometimes we're so focused on the how, like $10,000 on our doorstep, that we don't focus on actualization, which is just the fact that it shows up. And the only qualifier I ever give to that is actualize it this or better with ease, whatever you're looking for. And then that just opens up the door for things to show up in so much ways that you never imagined.
Right. So if you want a certain house and it has to look this way, be open to the possibility that something even better might show up, because we're so busy like a horse with blinders that this is how it needs to look, because that's how the ego has created it in our heads, or we have this picture in our heads, or it has to be this way today at this time. The universe in the background might be doing something and putting something together, and we like, it's not showing up. It's not coming. It doesn't look like this. Somewhere in the background, something is formulating. But when you are receptive and you don't allow those thoughts in your head, it's just like, okay, universe, just bring it, and full on faith, versus it's not coming. It doesn't look. This isn't it. This isn't the right house. It doesn't look. It doesn't have that. Something else might be coming, but you're not allowing it in because you're pushing it away, or something has to happen this way, this time, today. There might be something else in the background, like Hank always says, the universe is manipulating things in the background to make something happen. So if you can just be in the present moment and super peaceful, super calm, super receptive, and just have full on 100% faith that it will arrive, and it's already here. Everything is already here. It just hasn't quite made it into our field, into our bubble. If you can have the full-on faith to know that it's on its way and it's coming, and you hold that thought, it's coming. It's here.
Yeah,
it's already here. It's on its way.
It's already here is the key thing, because time is an illusion. Time is a measurement of distance traveled. And really, truly, what if everything that ever could be, will be, has been, is now in this ever present moment? And the only difference of it actually showing up is your ability to be in the space of allowance to receive it. And if you were in a place of complete allowance, what if everything could actualize instantly with ease? And it didn't have to be this 20-year thing to actualize something. It doesn't. It can be fast tracked. And the real key is you put it out there and then pay attention to what the universe brings to you, because it's going to give you opportunities to bring that closer, but you have to be paying attention. You have to be willing to perceive, know, be, and receive all the energies and all the contributions around whatever the target and goal is with total ease. And everything that doesn't allow that, destroy it and create it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And that's an access clearing statement. You can get more information with that if you go to clearingstatement.com if people are interested in a deeper dive into that access tool.
So things can happen either very quickly, or sometimes there is a matter of divine timing, because something in the background has to shift around, move around, so that the universe can create a space where okay, it's time now. And I'm kind of experiencing that. There was something I wasn't really open to, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, my head door opened, and I was like, okay, it's time. And I was super receptive to it, and I'm moving on it.
And since we just had tax day, here's a huge thing for abundance, everyone. How many people have it in their mind that they must only get a tax refund, or that they cannot owe taxes, and there's like this huge aversion to owing taxes? So how much are you not willing to receive financially? Because if you were to receive that $10,000 or that $100,000 or whatever the amounts are, oh my gosh, I'm going to owe so much taxes. So like even like things like that, we might not want to deal with the tax man or deal with these things, but it comes with the abundance. And so places where, hey, in order to have A, B also needs to show up, but that's not really a big deal, because when you have that money, you can hire an accountant, right? And they can take care of the taxes. But this is just one example, like around tax time. I remember I used to be in that space where I'm like, oh man, I got to make sure I get a refund and do all these things. And now it's like, whoa, how much money can I possibly owe the government? Because the more money I owe, that means the more money I made. That type of idea.
Exactly. That means taxes means you're making money. Taxes also means you're contributing to the oneness. And I know we don't always love our government, but you are contributing to things that are then recirculating back, because when you're paying taxes into the government, somewhere the government's paying your Medicare or whatever else,
This is from Rishi's Metaphysical Institute. It's a metaphysical school on the east side of Cleveland in Euclid. And if you Google Rishi's Metaphysical Institute, I think you'll find the website. But they have all these classes. It's 100% by donation, and they would pass around the little basket for people's contributions. And before we would do it, they would have you hold the money in your hand, or even if you weren't going to contribute money that day, just energetically hold a blessing in your hand. And they did this little affirmation: God bless this money, multiply it and increase it 1,000 times 1,000. Bless the ones who gave it, and bless the ones to whom it shall go. I give thanks, I give thanks, I give thanks. And then like to contribute to it. And I missed one part: for the service of the light is supposed to be in there too. So you're putting it out, even if you're paying a bill, if you're paying your taxes, if you're paying whatever it is, have that blessing of the energy, putting it out there, multiply and increase it 1,000 times 1,000 for the service of the light. Bless the ones who gave it, bless the ones to whom shall go, because you're adding this potency to it that not only you might be paying your electric bill, but you're charging it now that it's going to create possibility in the universe and for the service of possibility. And that is like a wonderful thing to do anytime you're having any outflow of money at all.
And that will come back to you.
So because you're the only one in the room.
What?
Because you're the only one in the room. You're giving it to yourself. If you really are coming from the kingdom of we, anytime you're paying things, gifting to someone, it is one and the same as gifting to yourself. If you can be in that space, it's exponentially potent.
That's something that I forget to do sometimes, but I do catch myself. So when I pay bills, I try to stop myself and say, thank you for this bill. And I will write it on the little stub, paid, thank you. Because we forget, somebody's paying you're getting electricity, you're getting light, you're getting heat. What if you didn't have that?
Right.
Somewhere somebody's contributing to yours, and then I bless it as it goes out. May this serve somebody. And when I tithe, I do the same thing. I hold the money or the check or whatever it is, and as I send it off, and I'm like, may this help as many people as possible get to their destination. So I charge it. I try to remember to do that more now, because it does end up coming back to you. We're all sitting in this planet together, so something's going to recirculate back to you. It's a boomerang.
And a reminder, I see Mark making all kinds of other jokes and everything. So, interesting wrong page. What, Mike, are you talking about? Anyway, Magic Mike is commenting now. But if you have any questions or comments, if there's something you'd like to contribute to the conversation, I invite you to do that. The best place is on the YouTube channel. There's a lot of Facebook pages where I shared this too, but we're not actually streaming to those pages, so we don't see it if you're watching from there. So if you want to make a comment, please do so. We'd love to follow the energy. You mentioned tithing, and I wanted to throw this out as another thing that you can do, because when you're looking to manifest and actualize and you're being consistent and congruent, another thing is to put yourself first. And I don't mean this in a selfish way. Selfishness is when you take an action at the expense of somebody else's bubble of personal space or whatnot. Being self first is just telling the universe, hey, I'm important. And when you have your money, one thing that Access recommends is to tithe to yourself. To, like, if you have $100 come in before you pay the bills, what if you took 10% of that and you put it away as an honoring of you? So you're telling the universe, hey, I'm important. I thank you so much for this abundance. I'm first contributing to my 10% account, we call it, and then I'm paying everything else, versus I get the money and the first thing I do is I pay all these things outside of myself. Because where's the focus? And you're putting things outside of yourself as the focus first. So being self first, not selfish, and really showing the universe what the priority is, and that's going to contribute to how things show up for you as well. And we have
absolutely.
Doug saying good morning, guys.
Good morning, Doug. Hope you
yeah.
at the beginning.
Yeah, and I see Mike saying that the feed's not working one of the pages. It's only going to holistic health and healing, and from there I shared it out, so it's not streaming on some of the other pages. I'm trying something a little bit different today in how I shared the stream. But you can also watch it on Twitter, on Twitch. We're all over the place. There's lots of options to watch us. So
if anybody has any questions, if they're trying to manifest something and it's not quite working out, we're happy to, please feel free to ask questions on that. Maybe we can
maybe facilitate around that. And we talked a lot about the focus and the intention and the congruency. The other part of this is what wounds, what energy flows are in existence from your other than conscious from childhood that might be causing issues with your ability to receive. This is the heavy stuff. This is like the hucha, we would call it in shamanism. And so, for example, what if you have like 3 siblings and you have 2 really responsible siblings and you are conveniently the black sheep of the family? Nothing ever works out for you. And people are projecting this role on you. And what if you've aligned and agreed with that role? And that this is how I am in the world. Nothing ever works out for me. So what if we call it a glass ceiling? What if it's creating this energy barrier that you're only able to manifest and actualize to a certain point because you are unwilling to step out of that role and out manifest and out create another member of the family or another friend? And this could be happening in business. It could be happening from schools. It could be happening from all kinds of places where we've taken on a projection. Or where are you so desperate to fit in and to camouflage yourself that you're not willing to stand out, be the energy that it would take for things to show up in magnitude for you? Because we have a tendency to really hide who we truly are. And in that space of authenticity, is really stepping into that, things can show up just exponentially greater. But we hold back so much because we're afraid of being judged for being us. And then, and that's one of the greatest trip ups of things not showing up in the reality, is just you not being willing to be congruent, because to be congruent means people are going to notice you, because people love congruency. Even if you're a narcissistic a-hole, not going to point any fingers at anybody, but people have an admiration for an authenticity, and all these eyes are on them. So authenticity, whether you're using it for one side of the duality or the other, people notice it. And some people just don't want to step into that because we're trying to hide.
Yeah, a friend and I went to dinner last night. We had this whole conversation about authenticity and being and loving you. And that's why I love Anita Morjani's book in chapter 15 through 18, really just hone that in. And I'm in the stage right now too. It's kind of like I have this need to be loved and liked, and I'm too nice sometimes, and I'm not going to do that anymore. You have to reach a state of just being firm and kind, and learning to say no to things and honoring yourself, because we often don't do that. And yes, there's so many different things we take on from childhood, and these are things that when you're trying to move on and being congruent and actualize and bring forth in your life what you really want, you circumvent that and stop it, and you stop the flow of that by saying, well, things never work out for me, and if it's never worked out, every time I've tried this, it's never worked out. That's something that, if you're struggling with, we may need to do a little work around that and clear that statement out, and clear the energy of that out, because Things are always trying to get to you, but when you say things never work out, you kind of stop that thing
Yeah.
that's trying to get to you.
See, and if you catch yourself in that type of energy, one thing that I do when I work with people, they say things never work out. I'll say that 3 times. Things never work out for me. Things never work out for me. Never work out for me. And so all the hidden implants and explants, everything underneath that, that's allowing that to show up for you in that way, we destroy and uncreate it times a godzillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Because it's so important. One of the 3 things, the 3 C's for this topic today, one is consciousness. And that consciousness is the willingness to perceive, know, be, and receive everything around that. And when things like that are coming up, the things never work out for me. Things only never work out if you're not willing to perceive, know, be, and receive something. And so if you catch yourself, you can start to redirect that energy and start to continuously clear up this hoocha, this heaviness, and all these things. Let's see. We had someone commenting here. Money has always been the one for me. I grew up with the lack mentality of not having enough money. And even as an adult, I have not been able to create enough money. Any way to come around that thought. So same tool I just used now. I never create enough money. I never create enough money. I never create enough money. All the Shiku implants, all the distractor implants, all the energy underneath that from any past lifetime, from any aspect of existence, both known and unknown, are you willing to destroy and uncreate it? I'm going to pretend you said yes. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. When you catch yourself in that, immediately say, that's interesting that I have that point of view. What tool do I have from watching those crazy people on that stream or from someone else that you know that has the potential and potency to shift this? And you start working with it. But showing up, being conscious is 90% of the battle because you have to be aware in order to change it. If you're not willing to be aware, then you're on autopilot and you just cruise past an infinite number of possibilities that could have shifted it for you.
Yeah, so you're already there. You've created the awareness. You know that there's a lack mentality going on, and that's what's circumventing everything. So now it's a matter of just using that tool. I have a tool that I use too, but recognizing that you're saying not enough, and not enough will create more not enough. So rephrasing that statement to, I have more than enough money. I am so wealthy, and feeling as if that money is coming to you. What would it feel like? We have imagination, and imagination is one of the biggest gifts that we have to create things. What would it be like if I had a ton of money? Feel that. Because I'm sure there were points where you did make a chunk that came through and you're like, oh, this was kind of fun. Ride that carpet. Maybe that wasn't all the time, but I'm sure there was some point in time where you got that little extra and you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then you went back into mentality. So
or a really simple tool. The word lack or word want actually means to lack. In 1946, they changed the definitions, but you might have heard the saying, rich people want for nothing. It means rich people lack for nothing. And it might seem counterintuitive, but if you don't feel you have enough money, you could say, I don't want money. I don't want money. I don't want money. And surprisingly, you feel that it's light to say that. I don't want money. I don't want money. I don't want money. Because you're saying, I don't lack money. You're telling the universe that you're stepping out of that. There's not enough. You're stepping out of the scarcity and stepping into the place where there is enough. So like little tricks like that, they bypass the logical mind, which has been trying to figure out this shit for years. And if you could logically figure out, you would have done it already. And it lets you get into the insane mind where the possibilities and the potency and the alchemy of creation exist. So truly, what would it take for you to get out of the logical thinking and access the insane mind that really has the illogical answers that are going to solve all your problems with ease?
That is, you can absolutely turn that around. Absolutely. And the law of polarity states that where one thing exists, the other exists. So if you have no money, it also exists that there's a ton of money. So focus on that there is the potential. And if others can do it, so can you. Everybody can do it. We all have the capability. It's our own psyche. It's our own head. It's our own ego. That's the only little thing that's getting in the way for you right now. That's all.
And for those of you who are interested, I did a 5-part book reading for a book called Money's Not the Problem, You Are. The streams could only stay up for a certain time publicly, but if you go to the Emergence of Being Facebook group, you will find a topic in there and you can find them. And there's a ton of tools in there, too many to go over now, that really can help to start unlocking the potentiality around receiving more. from the universe and all that good stuff. And they say, thank you guys. You're very welcome. Thank you for the question. You see, like as soon as somebody says something, look how much possibility that opens up just for the willingness of being vulnerable and mentioning something coming up in your world. So we certainly invite that if anybody else has something coming up. Now, Mark, I know you're half joking here. He must be going to see Dr. K and getting hooked up to the biofeedback thing. But he says, this Thursday, I will be hooked up to a machine that will determine if I'm crazy. Any suggestions on how to trick the machine for a normal reading? Mark, you want to be 100% authentic. And I will tell you, there's only one normal person in the entire cosmos, and everybody else is crazy. And everybody who's crazy thinks the normal person is crazy. So there's no way to tell who the normal and the crazy are. So just be you.
And crazy's not even going to be on the list. So sorry, I don't think it's going to come up as this person's crazy.
No, but truly, like that, for those of you who don't know, Dr. K is a functional medicine doctor. She's a legitimate real doctor, if you didn't know. And she has this biofeedback device that you get hooked up to, and it just gives you all this information. Because like we're talking a lot about the energetics of manifestation and actualization, but there's a physical component as well. And like to get the machine, the Waldo, the avatar that you're using to create these things in the world, getting that in shape so that it can receive and flow these energies too is essential. And something like the biofeedback machine and similar devices are certainly a huge contribution to the body part. And we tend to forget that part. We are energy beings, but the body is important. It is your vehicle to create. It is what's rowing with the universe. So you definitely want to take good care of it and ask the body, what do you need? What contribution could I be to the body that will help actualize this abundance with ease?
Absolutely. There are very few people that I think are so evolved that I don't know of any that feed their body garbage and they can get beyond it. But it gets more tricky when you're not eating well, or you're drinking, or you're self-medicating. We talk about all these energetic things, and sometimes people are like, but I don't feel that way, and I don't feel good, and I can't find this, light feeling, and it feels wonderful. Because there's other things that are probably in your body system that may be suppressing you. So if you're eating poorly, if you're drinking, if you're eating a lot of sugar, that's going to make you sluggish. It's going to make the mind have a more challenging time to feel light and airy. And when you say these statements that we give you and they don't feel so airy and fun, you have to take care of the body being too.
Yeah. And some of those things are cellular memory, like the whole sibling conversation, that if you were the black sheep of the family, what is being held in the body is cellular memory. And you can mental mind game and energetically work with it all you want. The cellular memory may still be there, and going through some sort of detoxification, doing energy work, doing something where you're specifically looking at the body to release the energies that might be counterproductive for what you're actually looking to create in your world.
And both of us do that too. So it becomes these little things. Working on all of these things is really important. So yes, we give you some tools that you can do at home, but if they're not working, there might be some other things. So please reach out if you're stuck, because we might need to clear something out that's a little deeper, that's not allowing you to get to that level of 10.
Yeah. And if you don't know where to start, on the first and third Monday of the month, we do an energy clinic. So I'll just put the little graphic. We actually have you in the little room, but we do it on the first and third Monday of the month. We do it in person and we do it virtually. So it doesn't matter where you are. We can work energetically and start to facilitate some of those changes. And you can also, let me get the link for it. Where does it go?
That's where we start to tap into those things that might be holding you back. If you're like, I've tried some of these tools at home and kind of only get to a level of 2. This is where we start to tap in a little bit more, and then maybe we go on to a more deeper session to really clear these things out, because they do take a little bit of work, but they can clear out very quickly, and you can feel a whole lot better, a whole lot faster.
Yeah. And if it's not with us, ask the question, what energy process could I receive? What practitioner do I know that has the tools that could facilitate greater possibility around X, Y, or Z showing up in my life, whatever your targets are? Because maybe Dr. Nikkei aren't the lightest, but maybe my friend Ryan is, or maybe my friend Brian, the squirrel man is. So like there's all kinds of people, like who has the medicine for you, who has the frequency and vibration that has the potential to help you move through your heaviness fastest.
Exactly.
And honor that knowing. It's what, again, coming back to what can you perceive, know, be, and receive to have total clarity and ease of actualizing fill in the blank with total ease. Everything that doesn't allow that, destroy it and create it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. But truly, then pay attention to everything, because what if a session or a reading or whatever, a detox, what if it might make no logical sense, but you know that it matches the frequency of whatever it is you're looking to actualize, and that's what you want to follow.
You might resonate with somebody completely different, but I can tell you, when you open your mind to these things and you start seeking, the right teacher will arrive. It happens. It does.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the other day, I had this vision of logos and mythos coming together. And if you don't know, like mythos is kind of like the stories of magic from antiquity and all these things, like the magic of the universe. And logos is the logic, it's the form and structure, it's the mathematical equation that allows the universe to be. And I saw this vision of bringing them together. And then all of a sudden I started seeing math equations like crazy, like when I'm working on people. And then I found somebody that teaches like a special type of mathematics that is bringing it together. I'm just like, wow, like I just had this inspiration. Then all of a sudden these things are coming into my world that are helping me to move through that and to get more information about how these two things really come together and work with each other.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about being open. Just no extraneous thoughts, no, like I call the chipmunk in my mind, I just keep going. But if you can just calm that down and just be like, okay, I'm ready. I'm just open. I'm ready. Bring universe, bring it.
Yeah.
Whatever you seek will get to you. And I've been through multiple teachers. I mean, and I've noticed, like, as my receptivity changes, a different teacher arrives. And that's not to say the other people weren't. I've learned something from everybody. Everybody contributes to your existence and to your level. And I call it like the dawn of your life. So all these things that have happened to you have led you to the space that you are now. And trust, you are in the space that you need to be now.
Yeah.
And the more receptive you are, the faster you move through these things.
And here is a tool I want everybody to walk away with from today. This tool will enable you to receive from somebody, even if in one place of their belief system, you have this conflict. And this comes from my dear friend Param, who teaches the course, Why Life Sucks, A Global Voyage to Overcome the Misery of Everyday Living. I love that course. It's based on the works of the Osho, who's an Indian nature mystic. And he has at the beginning of the class, or the beginning of the talk, which is like a 5-hour soliloquy of him giving these inspirations to you, he has everybody slam their hand on the desk, point their finger at him, and say, Param, you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. And I'm saying this for a reason, because I just recently saw someone that they had a place where they ran into this friction between someone that and their belief system and what they believed, and they couldn't get past it, and it cut off their ability to receive from everything else. So out of the thousands of tools available, because of this one thing, they're not willing to receive the 1,000 tools. So be a kindness to you and realize that nobody has it all. And if you come from the point of view that, hey, that Hank guy, he doesn't know his ass from the hole in the ground anyway. If I ever say something that you don't agree with, or if Dr. K says something that you don't agree with, if you come from that space, you can get over it and then receive the next thing that we say that does have the possibility for you to change your life and to change the world. That is a huge gift. So look at everybody like that. Whoever it is, they don't know their ass from the hole in the ground anyway. And then you can just go ahead and receive the next piece that could be potentially life-changing for you.
Right. Hey, don't block it off. There's a lot. And a lot of folks desire different things, but we block it off. I had a conversation with a friend last night. She's like, I am never letting this go. I'm like,
oh boy. See, I would be like, say that 3 times. And then, well, if they're willing to work with it, that's the other thing. The willingness to change is key too, because in this particular instance, they weren't willing to ask a question to facilitate out of it or to clear out of it. They were already in a point of judgment and conclusion, and there was no changing it at that point. Shauna's tuning in. She says hello, and that And she does something similar with her clients, and they love it. Because this is also bringing in, and this is the topic for the next stream I'm doing, which will be at 11:15 with Casey, changing the world through sacred play, this energy of puklei. And when you have something fun like this, that, hey, this person doesn't know what they're talking about, but it's really come from that space of fun, like everything can be taken with a grain of salt, because this is all just the kausai pachapuklei, which means the sacred game of life. It's just this field of experience, and we can label it however we want. And if we don't get caught up with how other people label things and how we label things, we can be in the space of play. And when you're in that space of play, it makes receiving so much easier, because until we screw up our kids, they're just a sponge. They'll receive everything from the universe. And then we start sticking them with our judgments and our points of view and our definitions and our conclusions, and we screw them up.
Yep.
We should tell them, out of the womb, you should say, you point your finger at your mom and say, you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground.
I don't know if we're recommending that. We can have some trouble at home. But kids they have no filter. They have no, they don't have these sponges that they squeeze. They go after what they desire, and they usually get it. And they just don't have majority of time, they don't have the resistances. Those are all created by us folks, in the boxes we put them in. So even Dr. Dyer says the children are not, they don't belong to you. They come through you into the world, but they are not your possession. And so they have their own compasses.
And same thing for the parents out there. Don't beat yourself up if your kid turns out being like a lunatic or a crazy person. It's up to us to get through the things that we have created in our life. And, parents, we are all well-intended, but I feel it's really important as a parent, don't get caught up if your child does something that is so like, well, I can't believe I didn't raise them to be that way. They're making their own choices. And at the end of the day, they're 100% responsible for the life that they create. It's not on us. It's on them. All of us are the common denominator in everything that's ever showed up in our reality. And if you can really begin to take 100% accountability for everything that shows up from conscious and unconscious choices made or not made, then you have the ability to change anything, because you're not putting the power about outside of yourself. It's all held within. And in that space, truly, you can actualize anything with ease.
Those are two such key points. Maybe our next stream, I don't have kids, but I gained a pretty good underanding.
You can borrow mine anytime you want.
Parents and kids. Okay, I'll be the aunt, like for the weekend.
Spoil them. You can
that's
do that.
my extent. But maybe having a whole stream on parenting and better parenting. And then also, your second point was really important too. If you can take responsibility for everything in your life and not point the finger at others, and know somewhere, somehow, this got created because of something that was going on within you. That's not to say we attract horrific things in our life, but if we can take responsibility, or everything's our fault, you don't want to fault yourself. It's just taking responsibility for your actions. I wonder what in my consciousness created this thing that I have going on in my life. Like that.
What are you unwilling to perceive, know, be, and receive about this, that if you were willing to, could change everything instantly with total ease? And then that question opens up the door to start working through whatever it is. Because we certainly put out our intentions and all that and our preferences, and sometimes things show up and it's like, well, where did I choose or not choose something that's allowing this to show up? What energy could I be to create a different possibility around blank showing up in my life? That's what you ask instead of why, because why will loop you back and give you another experience of, oh, that's why it's showing up. Why is that showing up? And the universe says, here you go, here's another one. But like, really, what energy could you be to create a different possibility? It is so great.
That's a good one. What energy can I be to create a different possibility, a different creation, a different result?
They were saying they would love a whole session on parenting. We'll definitely create that. And Dr. K and I will do that. And that's also something that Heather McMillan and I, that was one of our requests for our access stream that we do, was that unconscious parenting. So you'll get a double dose of it.
Yeah, I got it yesterday. Somebody came through the office, same thing, trying to teach their kids more meditation and possibility. I got the download, believe it or not, I got it this morning as I was brushing my teeth. Adriana, you really need to talk to Hank about doing this class for kids, even if it's a one-day class. Okay. I heard it this morning. So, apparently.
Well, we talked about other things around kids too. We really have to, we get to create an amazing possibility for people. and be an invitation to change on a much earlier level in people's lives that exponentially could change the world down the road.
So stay tuned. We'll probably do some sort of live stream, and then some class will be in the works to bring in some people too. If you have kiddos and you're in the area, or if you're not in the area, I'm sure we'll do a live. You can stream it, right? And then we'll do some sort of a class, maybe a 4-hour class, maybe a full day class to teach your kids, help you teach your kids, help you and your kids, whatever that will be.
Parents have to come along for the ride too, for sure. And
yeah, because
this is sparking to me to show up that this acronym may or may not be for everyone, but this is an ACCESS acronym. It's an acronym for family, effed up and mainly interested in limiting you. And it's not intentionally. Like the thing is, when it comes to family with kids and your spouse and aunts, uncles, and all that, we tend to come from the kingdom of me instead of the kingdom of we. And instead of being in creationship with them, we're in relationship. And so there's a book called Divorceless Relationships. Where are we divorcing ourselves to fit into the limitations of the box that we call family? And what would it take for us, instead of being in that box, to look at it through the kingdom of we and really look at it as a creationship thing? What are the infinite possibilities if I change the energy dynamic with my family to create with them instead of relating with them? And then that can change all that good stuff too.
Yeah, all that was coming through this morning as I was brushing. It was kind of funny that this gets brought up, because if you're doing something and this is a dynamic that happens a lot with parents and kids, you want that child to do something you want them to do. If you're making it about you and how you want them to be, and I'm the parent, you need to pay attention, and you need to, then it's a whole different scenario than letting your child be who they are. That doesn't mean you put a 2-year-old in the street and you let them play in the street where there's danger and cars. It means you kind of, there's various situations. If there's an argument, you pull yourself out of the situation, because a lot of times they're trying to please you, because that's what the scenario that's been created. And if we can teach, it would be a whole different world if kids had a different perception and weren't put in a box.
Yeah.
So,
and another tool for this too, we would say every morning, as often as you can think about it throughout the day, you energetically say, I'm destroying and uncreating my relationship with Dr. K, with my kids, with my wife. And what it does is it takes out all the past, all the irrational points of view, all the judgments and things. It's kind of like that movie 50 First Dates. Like, what if you woke up every day and you didn't remember the past and it was all a new experience with everybody? Right?
Like
and
Mr. Bean.
Yeah. And so, like, what would it take to have that unlimited potentiality in creating with people? And part of that would be everything that the past is, everything we thought this relationship was, I'm going to destroy it and create it to have this clean slate to build something new and to create possibility and actualize whatever it is with ease. Do that every day with everything. It's not like you're killing the relationship. You're destroying and creating everything that you think it is so it can become something different.
Absolutely. Every day's a new day. Yeah.
Oh, every day's a new day. Now I got a Paul Abdul song stuck in my head. Promise of a new day. Yeah.
You'll be singing that all day.
I might be. But that's a great song, though. I love Paul Abdul. So very cool. But any final, this is our last call, questions, comments. We love to have your input on topics that you might like to hear going forward. We definitely got conscious parenting now on the parking lot, as we call it. But if you have anything, if you're watching this and it's on the replay, go ahead and make a comment on the YouTube channel and let us know, hey, what topics would you like to hear? And we can create around that. And also, reminder, if you go to emergenceofbeing.com, you can find sessions with Dr. K, myself, Casey, the whole team of who I call contributors, because our goal is to contribute to your life. And what if contribution isn't always healing? Like, we definitely want people to heal, but what if contribution is what you need to get to the space where you're willing to heal? And so we're taking it a step back, that what can we contribute to you to really help you on your journey and your healing journey and the acceptance of receiving possibilities for yourself. So that's the energy that we like to bring to the table.
You hear one line out of this whole hour, and you're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. And it starts to change things.
Yeah.
It could be just one thing, one line.
Oh, and Mark, I didn't even notice this. He said nobody had a poof moment today. We have this joke because we call it Poof the Magic Dragon in the middle of a thought, and then all of a sudden it just like fades away. I'm like, I didn't know what I was going to say. But,
noticing that.
Yeah.
Actually, we're on par today. That's kind of cool.
I don't know. Were you watching the whole time, Mark? Maybe we had one at the beginning. No, I don't think we did. That is a really good, a really great awareness, Mark. What would it take for you to be that aware in all areas of your life to notice the things that could change and contribute to you? But great. But thank you all. For any final things, Dr. K?
Yeah, I think conscious parenting is going to be on the list, guys. So yeah, stay tuned.
Conscious parenting's on the list. Oh, and one other cool thing. I don't have it in the menu. I'm going to add it as soon as we're done here. But there is a retreat that we're sponsoring. If you're watching on a replay, this is going to be every year. Well, not necessarily August, but this year it's going to be August 8th through the 14th. It's called Return to the Garden, and it is a deep dive into the traditions of the Pacocuna of Peru, from the Caro Indians up in the mountains. So we're going to be going through something called the Hatan Karpai. It's going to be in Virginia. There'll be a shuttle from Cleveland. We have an airport shuttle set up so you can fly in and get to the retreat center so you don't have to rent a car. So if that sounds fun, you'll find all the details at emergenceofbeing.com. That is going to be coming up August 8th through the 14th. I'm very excited about that. So I'll throw that out there too. And if you're watching this in, after August of 2021, check in for the following year, because we're always going to do a retreat. It may not be in Virginia. We'll rotate it around. It might be in Arizona or some other places, but we are going to be doing that every year going forward until we change our mind. Always reserve the right.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be wonderful. But thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today for the show. Holistic Health and Healing is part of the Emergence of Being Contributor Network. Visit us at emergenceofbeing.com for all of our contributors' content and to learn about our services and upcoming events. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. You can contribute to the show by supporting our efforts and sharing our content with those you care about and those who need it most.